stage with me. Please save your applause till the end. The writer and performer in Venom, Emma Burnell, her co-star, Will Meadows, and the director, Michael Palmer. Okay, so before we speak specifically about Venom, I have to do a little bit of my fangirl thing. I mentioned that Emma is a friend. I've actually been full of admiration and following Emma for many years before I met her. She is, if you don't know, many of you probably do, but she is an incredible force in politics in this country. She's been a political journalist and consultant for decades and a campaigner. And she then fell in love with theater, which you may tell us a little bit about. And through theater, we met personally a few years ago. And she then wrote her first play, No Cure for Love, which was at the Lion and Unicorn Theater, which you not only wrote, but you also then ended up directing, right? Right. Her second play, Triggered, was a wonderful play about the Labour Party, really interesting, and that was at the White Bear Theatre, which also had Michael in the cast. She's acted, directed, she doesn't hold back. I mean, her ambition is incredible, isn't it? She then wrote a play in 48 hours with other people with Proforza Theatre that was back at the Lion and Unicorn, which Will was in. And then, not content with doing all that, she's now written a play that she decided she's going to act in as well for the first time since you were a teenager, and sing. When was the last time you sang in public?
I mean, other than drunken karaoke? Never. Well, no, the teenage thing I was in was an opera.
Okay.
But, I mean, I was 15, so, yeah.
So, let's just talk about that. Like, what drives you, Emma? Where does this incredible courage and ambition come from?
So...
And why theatre?
Almost exactly 10 years ago, I had a very, very big change of circumstances. I got divorced. And in my marriage, the guy I was married to, he wasn't a bad guy, he wasn't a great guy, but he had various, he was very, very, very shy, to the point of not being able to speak to anyone except me, which made my world a lot smaller a lot of the time. And so he then left me for someone else, and I think I said this joked at the time, I was quite surprised because I didn't know he could speak to other people. But when that happened, I had a choice to make. I could either sort of try to get back into another relationship straight away, or I could try and become the best version of me that I could be. And at the same time, I also had an operation. Some of you who've known me for a long time will know that I used to be 25 stone. I was incredibly heavy. I've literally lost half my body weight. The lovely front row are my friends from Slimming World. They're fabulous. So much. So I had an operation, and I lost a bit through. I lost 7 stone through that, and another 5 through Slimming World. Big up, Lisa. I just every day felt like things were getting better, and then I thought, well, this is boring now. What can I do next? And then I went to become a theatre reviewer because a friend of mine set up a website to do theatre reviews, and she very kindly let me write for it. And then I got a few other perches to do that. And I just thought, this is what I wanted to do when I was 16. And when I put on all that weight, I just put away those dreams because no one was going to hire me to play Juliet, let's face it. And I thought, well, why don't I try again? Why don't I start again? And David from The Lion and Unicorn has been just this incredible mentor for me as well. So
this is David Brady, who's the artistic director of The Lion and Unicorn and also Proforza Theatre. He was very encouraging. I did a course, because that's how I learned to do anything. I did a writing course at Central and ended up... And my writing teacher said, it doesn't matter if you write impossible things because you're not going to direct it. Mm-hmm. So I wrote impossible things and I ended up bloody directing it, so I couldn't kill him at the time. That was how it started. So Amazing. It was just kind of, I made a choice to not be a smaller me anymore, although in some ways obviously be a much bigger. Physically smaller but bigger in every other way. Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one in the room that can say you're a real inspiration to me and to others. Okay, so Venom. We have just seen a very modern play covering lots of different things. The the fleeting nature of fame, the unashamedly feminist take on an older story, toxic masculinity, Me Too, radicalism, all sorts of things. And it is based on the myth of Medusa. So, just so we can all appreciate, I'm sure many of us know Medusa well, but who can tell me, so we can really see what Emma has done here? What are the basic plots, the bones of this myth of Medusa, Michael?
Well, I would refer to the writer, really.
No. She's just talked a lot,
so
I want to hear from the director.
Well, I mean, I didn't know much about Medusa other than the sort of Clash of the Titans style stuff from movies. There's a guy with the sort of mirror shield and the Perseus, and that she had a head of snakes and she was great in sort of pop art and that kind of thing. That was the sum total of my knowledge. So I went to a couple of sources to read the story. And I could see, once I'd read that story and seen a couple of YouTube versions, this is the story of Medusa, then I could see, because there are in fact parallels, and for those people who aren't that perhaps quite as clued up on the story of Medusa. So the names, I mean, she has gone with Medusa, but also Don, the sort of low-level producer who attacked, really raped, I guess, Medusa. Don being Poseidon, Athena being not only the in charge of this a drama academy which Medusa went to, but also Athena was obviously a very prominent character within the myth of Medusa. And Poseidon, who desperately wanted to possess Medusa, and then went on and basically accosted her, really, much to Athena's sort of dismay, whether Athena and Poseidon were, Athena obviously had feelings, godlike feelings for Poseidon, and so as a fit of retribution, banished her. That is Medusa in this original Greek myth to an island. So in effect, a lot of the major points, and this gentleman's character here actually is a minor story. I might just mention it really. He was called Percy, as it were Perseus, and it was really me, really. So forgive me if anyone here is actually called Percy. But when he's standing over with a knife and she said, "Who even are you? I'm not your end game." Said, "I'm Percy," and I thought it was a bit naff or something. So by sheer chance, the following line was, "I'm your destruction." Is that the line? So I said, "Can we maybe leave the 'I'm Percy' bit out of it?" And in effect, he, as it were, gave himself up to police as a kind of a martyr there. So it's clear what you did. You were obviously very inspired by that Medusa myth and thought in some way you could kind of correlate it and give it a parallel story to a modern day setting. So it's actually surprisingly clever if you look at the script, what Emma has in fact done in relation to the original story.
It is very clever, and I'm sure for mythology geeks, they'll be mining it for other stuff. But so coming back to the inspiration and the writing of it, Emma, what came first? Did you want to do a version of Medusa, or did you want to write a story and then the mapping onto the myth came later?
So I was at the Vatican last May. I went on a trip to Rome just before our first run of Triggered. This was my little holiday before doing it. And there's a statue in the Vatican of Medusa, and the lovely tour guide, very Italian lady, and she's like, "This is the Medusa with the head full of snakes, and she is evil." And I said, "I think she's just a pissed off older woman." And that was it. And I was like, "Oh, there's something in that."
Yes.
And that's what inspired it. And it was a very different writing process for me with my last two pieces, and certainly from 48. Because with both of those, when I started writing them, I didn't know how they ended. Whereas with this, because I knew I wanted to hit the points of her story, but examine them from a completely different perspective. So I knew the shape the story had to take, and that was a lot harder for me actually as a writer. It's not a way I'm used to writing at all.
Interesting. Okay, Venom is very much a play of two halves, even though there's no interval, and I'm sure the theatre bar is not so happy about that. But Will, you come on as this character, Perseus, who's very angry. He's obviously driven by his online community. How do you feel coming on at that stage of the story? How do you tap into that momentum that Medusa has created in the first half?
I think it's quite a nice warm-up before I go on stage,
Yeah.
Because if I want to get into character, I can then just really, really try my best to become misogynistic.
Are you just sitting out? You're just sitting out
just
here
sitting
with
up
us?
the back there, and watching her revel in her self-pity and self-regard. But it's great, so you can sort of, the heart gets pumping, and then of course, you know, when she gets onto her last song, it's like, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And then once I get on and I set the tripod up, and I'm like, hello, my brothers. And then I'm preaching to these other horrible people over the dark web.
Yeah.
And he himself is a victim of sorts, from, you know, influences like the infamous Andrew Tate, people like this, and figures like Percy in the real world exist, and they keep existing. You know, in 2014 there was the case with Elliot Rodger, who did a very similar thing, and he posted a video to YouTube. And nowadays YouTube would take that straight off, so we went with live streaming it through the dark web. You know, and I think that really helped me connect with a lawless, really hidden away circle of the internet.
It's the incel community.
It's definitely the incel community. It stems from his heartbreak, and it led him clearly deeper into his bedroom and throughout these horrendous circles.
So you have to go into yourself some very dark places, I think, to inhabit this.
Absolutely. I mean, we've all experienced heartbreak in our life. You know, me, myself, and there is inevitably something that just makes you want to fight back and take control of the situation. But I think there's a platform nowadays, especially on the internet, for young men like myself, to find sanctuary in. And it's dangerous because it exists and it's so easily accessible. And things like this happen. And they're called red rooms on the dark web, where awful things happen live streamed. So I thought it would make sense, especially with Medusa's in the story, her fame, and her symbol of poison.
Interesting. Okay, audience, are you feeling warmed up? Who's got some hands and some questions for me? Anyone? I'm looking for hands. You're going to be this shy. This is, yes, thank you. Second row.
Hi. I would like to know why you thought it was worth spending your time exploring the mindset of an incel.
I was trying to make him like me so he wouldn't kill me.
As a writer.
Oh, because look, I've got an 18-year-old nephew, right? And he said to me, like, he's one of the nicest people you will ever meet. He's perfect. He's not an incel. He's a very ordinary lad. And he said, look, I've got friends. They think Andrew Tate talks a bit of sense, actually, sometimes. I'm not writing Dylan off. He's a great kid. Like, there are pathways that kids like Percy have gone down. And if you think about stopping them before that and actually think about what is causing young men pain, then we could be better. I mean, as you know, because you're my mate Chloe, hello.
Hi, Chloe.
I am a radical feminist. I'm all about the women. But I think as also a straight woman, I have to be a little bit about a world in which men are part of my life. And I don't want to write all the men off. So I wanted to be really, really conscious when writing it to give enough material for Percy to be a human being rather than just a cartoon.
Yeah, there's a lot of sympathetic reasoning, I think. So let me come back to the obvious, but we've talked about you're acting here in Venom for the first time since you were a teenager. How daunting was that, and what's been the scariest part of it? And maybe then Michael can.
What did I do worse? I mean, I fluffed my lines a bit tonight, but I think I didn't do it in such a way as it was noticeable. I got them in the wrong order, but I kind of delivered all the lines in a way that made sense.
And the
But
writer will
what was
forgive
most
you.
daunting, yeah, exactly. Frankly, what was most daunting was 3 weeks ago staring at a page and thinking, I'm never, ever going to learn this. I think that I had a real crisis of doubt then. And then Tuesday night, 7:25, people start coming in, and I'm just, what the fuck am I doing? I mean, I have to talk for 10 minutes and then sing a song, and then talk for another 10 minutes, and then sing another song. Like, as soon as Will comes on, I am so relaxed. I have to remember that I'm not supposed to look relaxed at that point. But having another human being on stage with me is so much nicer.
No, it is. I guess it's. I mean, I think. I mean, we basically have four days. There were 4 days rehearsal. That's all we had. So on day one, what happens is that, and I hope you, but as a non-professional actress, let's put it like that. So in my position, it's kind of what do you need right now? What do you need to feel that you can do this? You know, if I get too forceful, I simply didn't know what. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't know. I mean, I know you know, but we did that play. But I don't know what your limits are. I don't know what you can take. I don't know whether you would crumble. So we had to discuss. Well, you know, seriously, because it's quite daunting just standing in front of the stage, even now. So, but certainly just on your own, because I have done a couple of one-man shows myself. So I know what that feeling is just prior to. I know it wasn't technically a one-man show, but you know what I mean. So just
one man show, yeah.
Just one person show. Right? So you just stand there and you think, crikey, this is. But after a while, it does become liberating. But you have to go through a kind of tunnel of doubt, really. But the other side is great. So really, day one was, and really, I think that because Emma did write it, and it's getting that balance between, is it a TED talk? Is it ripping your guts out and leaving it there? What is it? And we struggled to work out what that framing could be. We played with the idea of maybe being me, actually being in it, and being a therapist, talking you through, Medusa, come and sit, so listen, what happened now, kind of thing. But you can imagine in 4 days it simply wasn't time. So I guess as a director, my job really, or at least this is the mode I took, was just to reveal what is there and empower you and give you an area in which to operate and get you to realise that sort of fuse, if the character's that circle there and you, Emma, is that circle there, to kind of start to try and bring them so this sort of slightly overlap, and in that area, that middle area there. So is it Emma, is it Medusa, what is that? So you feel you're free and you can just exist. And I didn't know whether you could or to what level you were able to do that, and you managed to do that, so very well done, and there you have it.
And what about memorising the lines? Did they give you any tips for how to remember the lines? That is like something, I've done so many Q&As over the years, and it's amazing how many people will ask actors, how do you remember all those lines?
There are a couple of methods to learning lines, and I don't know whether I went through them. I don't think you actually needed them.
No, because my promise to you was that I would turn up having learned at least the first 2 bits.
Yeah.
And then we learned our bit together, because there's no way I was going to learn that without you giving me my cues. But so I think I find it a lot harder if I was learning somebody else's writing, if I'm honest, because I kind of know where my brain's likely to go.
Yeah.
So it was easier because I'm just thinking, oh, what would Emma have written next? Oh, probably that.
What can happen for anybody who's acted here, maybe I'm sure some of you have, is that you can get, in certain instances, you can get a thing about a moment. I can't get that line, oh God, no, then it starts playing on itself, oh God, I'll never get it now, and I start down. So
the thing about being the writer, though, is if that happens, and I've said this when we were doing Triggered, if Michael kept getting stuck on a line, or lovely Carrie, who's in the corner there, who's also in Triggered, they got stuck on a line. My instinct as a writer is there's something wrong with the line.
Mm-hmm.
So I can change the line. So if I kept getting stuck on something, I would just change it because it clearly wasn't working for some reason.
Yeah. Yes, in the back.
Hi, well done, Emma. I was going to say.
Oh, hello.
Hi. writing or your writing process approaching it as an actor?
Oh yes, yes, and a kind of corollary to that. Does this give you new respect for actors?
Oh, I mean, I've always respected my actors and paid them, very importantly. I know I'm absolutely in awe in people who can do this all the time. This is probably a one-off for me. I think I'm a writer, not an actress.
So what has acting revealed to you about your writing?
Oh, I'm fucking verbose, aren't I? Bloody hell, I can go on. If there's a thought worth having, it's worth repeating 3 times. I like lyrics. I think I'm quite a lyrical writer. I mean, not just the lyrics, obviously, which we did write. 2 of the songs in the show tonight were original songs. Unfortunately, my amazing songwriting partner can't be here tonight, but he's an incredible person to write songs with. But I think also just in terms of, and I remember you saying to me, because you had quite a long, difficult speech in Triggers, and you were like, you write so densely. and now I know exactly what you mean.
Briefly, this play was called this other play was a kind of about Labour Party procedural voting, in-house voting methods of presenting certain candidates, and because Emma is an absolute expert on this, you know, not a stone was left unturned, not a statute was left out, and it was a little bit like learning a manifesto at times. And I'll be honest, I really struggled, and I dried stone dead right in front of John Landsman. In fact,
Oh my goodness!
who was in charge of what's
Momentum, yeah.
Momentum, and he was sitting right there with his
Because he was playing.
floral
He's like,
shirt.
nope, got that wrong.
There's this whole scene where he's on the phone with someone, and that someone is made up, and it's not at all John Landsman.
Well, no, the scene I tried was one of the very briefly, but one of the hardest things about learning lines is when lines come and they are the same but different. So one speech might be about the certain series of procedures. The next following speech after someone's spoken might be about a series of processes. And then the third speech, but in a procedural matter, you know, well, hang on, are we in the procedural, the process, or the procedure? And if you get that wrong, you end up going down a turn, and then you are down it. And you think, I can't even remember, did I talk about procedures? Does it matter? Who cares? But that was a very embarrassing moment. I was really angry with myself, and it sent shockwaves around my system.
So just coming back to the music, I do like to name check their collaborators. So her music co-writer is Cristiano Tortioli.
Yes.
Yeah. And there are some great songs. Are you going to release them, or what's going to happen with this?
We've recorded Poison and Darkness, the last song, and I think he's coming over to record the middle song, our own song, at some point.
Coming over,
and then we'll just whack them up on Spotify. He lives in Gillingham.
Okay. And also, let's give a shout out to Stephen Cox.
Woo!
Yay, thank you, Stephen. Right.
Stephen is the most unflappable human being. Like, turn up. Can we completely change all of the sound cues right at the very beginning? So it's going to shift everything you've done and the lighting. Yeah, but can we just add a voiceover at this point? Yeah. Right,
Is this
yeah.
me?
No,
This is me, isn't it? This is me, isn't it?
It's
Okay.
us.
I'm aware of time. I think we've got time for maybe 2 more questions. Carrie?
Yeah, one is a question and one is a comment. So I'm going to make the comment first, which you don't have to answer. I was really intrigued with what you said about how relieved you were when you came on and you could actually do a conversation with the other actor. And if you do work on this play again, which I would, and I think you now understand the point I was making in Triggered, where I wanted a conversation, that first scene could so easily have been him just interviewing you and then turning into an incel, and then you've got someone to bounce off. And, you know, they're almost like Desert Island Discs, no, we're going to hear your song. And then, when the lights go out, he then turns. And you've got drama there, because drama is not about acting, it's about reacting. And when you're doing a monologue like that, which was unlike the monologue you wrote for me, which was wonderful, where I actually wandered around the audience, you didn't really know to whom you were talking. And it makes, so the scene as soon as Percy came on, for me the whole play really came to life. And obviously that was because you felt more relaxed. That's the comment that I want to make. The question I want to make is that you say, you've always wanted to act, but Emma, you are a phenomenal singer. And is part of writing this, and I wonder what excuse I can make to have me singing 3 songs on stage. And really, it actually just nothing there. So, and you wrote the songs. Did you write the lyrics?
So the way that Chris and I
the
work...
Poison one, the one which says...
Poison is
"My
Alice
kiss is
Cooper,
poison."
and I changed the lyrics up, and Chris did an arrangement of it.
Right.
So it's a very... If you listen to the original song, it's classic hair metal, whereas we made it a bit more kind of dark and cabaret-ish, and
that was the
and
song
changed the
that was
lyrics
a big
up.
hit song, was it? So you
That was
started
no,
writing
that's
it.
Poison, the first song, the one from the show that she's in.
That's the one I thought was phenomenal. You wrote that.
No, we didn't. The second song was the hardest one to get to. The third song is my favourite, and there's a longer version that we are going to release as a single. I mean, we're just going to put it on Spotify. It sounds flash if you're releasing a single, but these days it literally is just pressing a button on Spotify.
Well, I'm very glad you're going to release it. But to Kerry's other point, do you anticipate returning to this, developing it in a different way?
Ask me on Sunday morning.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, we're going to take both these questions. Let's hear them, and then hopefully we can answer both. Yeah.
Hi, I'm with the Women's Equality Party actually. So so house always open. So. I was wondering, maybe because of that a bit of a cheeky question, but do you think that it's harder to be tonight in your play, or to be able to have a voice within the parties today, whether we're talking, and actually be able to represent the feminists that you are also representing somewhat tonight?
Okay, just hold that for a moment. Let's hear your question as well.
I just want to say thank you for this evening, all of you. And actually, you already addressed a couple of questions. I wanted to ask you if you'd done any research in your character, but then you told me that you looked on into the dark web and some certain some
He met up
so
with
sorry.
Andrew Tate.
But if I could ask you, when you wrote this play, did you write it with the intention of a small, intimate audience? And what are you planning now to do with this?
So, when I started writing it, you always have a vague vision in your head. And my vision was actually of a cabaret club. All of you as the audience sat around small tables with fabulous cocktails and things. But then I think the second half would work really badly with that. So actually...
In fact, there is an announcement at the start, but due to the noise, and he came on a bit quiet actually.
Yeah.
It's like, welcome to the Camberwell Cabaret Club. Thanks for coming tonight. I recorded, I can't remember what I said. Thanks for coming tonight. So in effect, the idea would be, it looks like I think we're in a club. We're in a cabaret club.
So that, we tried
now we kind of vaguely
tried
know
to
who we
frame
are.
it
We're
that
watchers.
way.
We're observers of this great sort of star returning. That kind of thing. But unfortunately, such was the hubbub. It was
both my parents
inaudible.
were in tonight, and God love them, they're both stone deaf. And I'm sat on the steps just behind there, waiting to come on, getting myself ready, and all I can hear is my mum and dad.
I'm very disappointed they didn't stay for the Q&A.
They've got to get back to
No,
Chingford,
it's fine.
bless them.
Now, we're going to come back to this question, but I always finish with a silly question that everybody on the panel has to answer. You will remember this, Michael. So the silly question that you think about, when we come back to this latest question, is we didn't actually see Medusa turning anyone to stone. So I want to know from each of you who you would turn to stone if you had Medusa's powers. But this lady had a fabulous question. It's about your voice. You have a powerful voice that you are using in so many different ways, politically, artistically. How do you view that, and which is harder, which is more effective?
So, those of you who know me, I'm guessing that none of you in this audience are big GB News watchers. But I'm never off GB News. I'm their pet lefty. And I'm so relaxed about it. Partly because I'm like, no one's watching.
I'm going to tag them in this
Do
video.
not do that. That's going to be a bloody But I find it easier in some ways to make my voice heard in unexpected spaces than I have in the party I've been a member of since the 22nd of February 1990. And that's just a confluence of various circumstances and things through the years, and factionalism, and me not being that good, and various other things. And also, there are very specific routes to be really big in politics. I don't want to be an MP, and you can tell the moment that I decided I didn't want to be an MP, because my Twitter feed went from I love the Labour Party to I like politics and shagging and drugs. And I don't want to be a special advisor because I have far too big an ego to put my entire life into somebody else's career. So I want to be a columnist, and no one, I got that fucking close. And this is part of what inspired. I got that close to I won't name the newspaper, but I was that close to being offered a column, and then I was told I was too old. And this is 8 years ago. Yeah. And now I am I'm not 50, just like you all to know I'm still 48.
Is there a problem with being 50-something?
Not at all, but I will get there when I get there.
Right.
But I'm a white, middle-class, middle-aged woman, and there's a fuck of a lot of us about. You don't need that many more in the public eye, to be honest with you, so I'm just going to keep doing this.
Yeah. So do you know what's going to be next, theatrically?
I have an inkling, but it's not confirmed, so I'm not going to say anything.
Well, obviously we'll do a Q&A. Okay, so, Michael, who are you going to turn to stone? Don't say me.
I don't know. I mean, no. I mean, sounds very. I sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but I mean, to be honest, what I personally can't bear is low-level antisocial behaviour. And so anybody who plays their mobile phones on a train using the speakers and not using headphones, I'd literally hurl out the train. But if I had that particular power, I would literally. I kind of hate them temporarily. In fact, the other day there was somebody on a bus, and there was only me and him at the top, and he's playing his music. I got out and I started playing the Birdie song. And then he was playing. I thought this'll show him. But no, I just carried on playing, and so wow, you are just in your. So I'm afraid anybody who puts their feet on seats, plays their mobile phones very loudly without using their earphones, and those kind of low-level stuff, and that's me.
Whoa, there are a lot of people in danger. Will, who are you going to turn to stone?
Well, I think I've got to say Andrew Tate at this point. If I did. Yeah, just malicious. I don't know. But, yeah. Speaking of points earlier, probably him.
Can I just say that, so last time I worked with Will, it was on 48. See, I took one look at this little butter wouldn't melt face, and I thought, oh, right, I'm going to make you a bad guy. And we turned him into the whole internet / the devil. And then I was like, by the way, Will, I've got this job coming up. Do you want to kill me?
The internet's plaything.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Yeah.
But I can't express enough. Like, Will has been so generous with me, because he's a proper actor. You know, he knows what he's doing. He's been through school and he's a professional actor. And I'm like, just push me over, it's fine. It's like, I'm not just pushing you over. They were like, show me how you can do a fall. So I did, and I literally slid across the floor of the room we were rehearsing in. I have never seen two more horrified looking men in my life.
Goodness me.
But I'm so proud of what Will's brought to this, and that complexity, that heart that is there, and that it wouldn't work if there wasn't a sense that he might be able to be reached.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I should say, actually, is there anything else I've missed before we line this up that you want to?
Could I just ask one question?
Oh, yes, you can, yes.
I think the idea of making Medusa and updating it to the internet and the incel scene is fantastic. And Will, you were brilliant. I want to kill you.
You're going to be so popular in the bar.
I'll get you a drink. But I actually thought that this is the kind of stuff that will be excellent to be shown on high schools. Have you ever thought of doing something like that?
I'm
Yes,
not
theatre
sure
in
we could
schools.
bring that knife into high schools. We get in all sorts of trouble.
I think so. You're absolutely
You
right.
can have
Yeah.
a problem one.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of what I was thinking about. So the play is dedicated to two people. It's dedicated to a very, 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 very nice man who sent me a laptop from America for no good reason when my laptop was stolen when we were doing the last play. And it's dedicated to my mum, who took me to Greenham Common when I was 8 years old. There was no escaping being a radical feminist for me. But I was thinking a lot about my nephew and how amazing he is and how lucky we are that he's so amazing. And I have a really close relationship with my niece as well, and the next play will be for her, I'm sure. But actually the next play is for you guys because it's about Slimming World Group.
Oh, you have revealed them.
Sorry. I just don't want 18, 19-year-old lads to feel like they have one path and one path only. And I do get the anger and the dissatisfaction, you know, if you are, as my nephew does, working in McDonald's and then getting told that you're full of male privilege. It is hard.
But who are you turning to stone, Emma?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Thank
good
you.
point.
That's, yes, who would come back to the most important question of the evening. God.
Surely it's David Cameron.
No.
I mean, I do loathe him more. I loathe him more than Boris because he's more responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's David Cameron. Fuck it.
Fantastic. Okay, audience, you are a wonderful audience. Please spread the word about the show. The show continues until Saturday.
Yes.
Till Saturday, so come again, get some flyers at the bar, spread it on social media, look out for when we post this, and share. And then please join me in thanking Michael and Will, Emma, and Stephen. Stephen!